Good evening. Welcome to the December 1st edition of the Downers Grove Village Council meeting. Unfortunately, due to the surge in COVID cases, we have moved to a mostly remote arrangement for village meetings, including this one. In order to do our part to help facilitate the governor's stay-at-home order and be mindful of social distancing, we have most of the team operating remote by conference call. Participating by conference call include Commissioners Marge Earl, Nicole Wallace, Leslie Sadowski-Fugit, Rich Cullivaney, and Kavanaugh Gray. Participating in council chambers with me is Greg Jose, Mayor Pro Tem, David Fieldman, Village Manager, Mike Baker, Deputy Village Manager, Enzo Pacharka, our Village Attorney, and Megan Miles, Rosa Berardi, Stan Popovich, and in and out occasionally is Doug Kozlowski, the voice of Downers Grove. In an effort to provide public input for this meeting, we solicited public input prior to the meeting via email and via our Village e-remarks system. We'll do our best to answer any questions and comments that come in tonight into the record and to get questions answered as we go. Copies of tonight's agenda, as well as links to the documentation we have here, can be found on our website at downers.us, where in the lower left-hand corner you can find a link titled Current Week's Meetings. Public comment will also be taken electronically through the meeting. To submit a question or comment electronically, you can visit that same This Week's Meetings Village webpage and click on the green Submit Public Comment button anytime during our meeting. We will check periodically for new submissions. We will make every effort to enter questions or comments received during the meeting into the record at the end of the meeting, where we have placed our typical public comments section. As is sometimes during the case during regular meetings, we may have to get back to the folks with additional information at a later date. These hybrid remote meetings, while different and awkward, are no less important. In fact, it's vitally important to the continued operation of our village during these troubled times. As I've said before, I encourage everyone to try and tune in and to stay with us through the meeting, even through some of the dry parts. It is your village and your business. As always, we'll begin our meeting this evening with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Megan, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Jose?
Here.
Commissioner Earl?
Here.
Commissioner Wallace?
Here.
Commissioner Sadowski-Fugit?
Here.
Commissioner Cullivaney?
Here.
Commissioner Gray?
Here.
Mayor Barnett?
Here. Is there a motion concerning electronic meeting conduct?
Mayor, I move that the council conduct the December 1st, 2020 Village Council meeting electronically.
Second.
Motion to conduct this meeting electronically is made by Commissioner Jose and seconded by Commissioner Earl. Questions or comments? Greg?
No.
Marge?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Kavanaugh?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Rich?
No, thank you.
Leslie?
No, thank you.
Nicole?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Earl?
Aye.
Commissioner Gray?
Aye.
Commissioner Cullivaney?
Aye.
Commissioner Sadowski-Fugit?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Mayor Barnett?
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Is there a motion concerning previous council minutes?
Mayor, I move that the council adopt the minutes of the November 17th, 2020 meeting as presented.
Second.
Motion to approve previous minutes is made by Commissioner Jose and seconded by Commissioner Earl. Are there any questions or comments? Greg?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Marge?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Kavanaugh?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Rich?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Leslie?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Nicole?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Earl?
Aye.
Commissioner Gray?
Aye.
Commissioner Cullivaney?
Aye.
Commissioner Sadowski-Fugit?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Mayor Burnett.
Aye. That passes unanimously as well. Item 4 on our agenda tonight is a public hearing. We have a public hearing on the 2020 aggregate tax levy. I'd like to call this public hearing to order. This public hearing has been called by the Village Council pursuant to the Illinois Truth in Taxation Law to consider the proposed 2020 tax levy for the Village of Downers Grove. Notice of this hearing was published in Enterprise Newspapers, Inc., otherwise known as the Bugle, on November 18th, 2020, and a copy of the notice and proof of publication have been presented and are made part of the official record of this hearing. Now I'll summarize the procedures for tonight's hearing. First, I'll ask the village manager to summarize the proposed 2020 tax levies. Then I'll ask any member of village council wishes to make a statement or ask a question. There'll be an opportunity for us to receive input from the public. You can make statements or comments or submit written statements for the record. I'll ask again if any member of the council wishes to make a statement or ask a question, and then the meeting will be adjourned. At this hearing, witnesses will not be sworn, and a verbatim written transcript of the statements or testimony given at the hearing will not be prepared. And with that, presentation, please.
I will turn it over, as is our tradition, to our Deputy Village Manager, Mike Baker.
Thank you, Dave. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. The presentation tonight will sound very similar to presentations delivered at the last two meetings where we discussed the budget and the estimated tax levy, as the figures are identical and have not changed in any way. To begin with, and to provide a little bit of perspective, the Village of Downers Grove represents just under 10% of the typical property tax bill within the community. 10% comes to the Village of Downers Grove. The table that's shown on the screen here, which has been shown several times previously, represents the best, I think, summary of the property tax levy, in that it shows the 5 components that make up the village's tax levy, and a comparison of the 2020 levy to the prior year, the 2019 levy. As you can see, the fire and police pension portions of the levy are the only 2 components that have any increase attached to them, and they are based on statutory requirements that the village has to comply with in funding public safety pensions. The other portions of the levy are flat, no increase from last year to this year. What this means for the typical homeowner in Downers Grove is that a property with a market value of $350,000 will see taxes paid to the Village of Downers Grove. Last year were $653.80. Next year, projected to be $705.45, an increase of approximately $51.65. That concludes my summary of the tax levy.
Thank you,
Happy
Mike.
to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the village council? Greg?
No, Mayor, thanks.
Marge, did you have anything?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Kavanaugh?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Rich?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Leslie?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Nicole?
No, Mayor, thank you.
I'll only add that this is, you've seen this a couple of times and you'll see it a few more. It is part of our attempts at trying to make sure that the public is aware of what's going on and is afforded plenty of opportunity to weigh in and ask questions or provide advice and opinion on things. Speaking of which, do we receive anything from the internet?
We have not. No comments at this point, Mayor.
Okay, it's a little procedural and a little dry, but we'll make one more pass through the council. Greg, do you have anything?
No, Mayor.
Marge?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Kavanaugh?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Rich?
No, thank you.
Leslie?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Nicole?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'll declare this hearing adjourned. We will move on to item 5, our consent agenda.
Mayor, I move that the council adopt the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion to approve the consent agenda is made by Commissioner Jose and seconded by Commissioner Earl. Any questions or comments from the council? Greg?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Marge?
Yes, I just want to thank Rosa Bernardi, who's going to be stepping up as village clerk, and thank Megan Miles for all the hard work she's done for us already. And she'll be staying on with us, which I think is absolutely great. So thank you to those two very specifically. That's it, Mayor.
Thank you, Marge. Kavanaugh.
No, Mayor, thank you.
Rich?
Mayor, I just mirror Commissioner Earl's comments.
Thanks, Rich. Leslie?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Nicole?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Megan, please call the roll.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Earl?
Aye.
Commissioner Gray?
Aye.
Commissioner Calavini?
Aye.
Commissioner Sadowski-Fugit?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Mayor Burnett?
Aye. That motion passes unanimously. Item 6 on our agenda tonight are active agenda items. These are items on which we plan to take action, and we have previously discussed at a prior council meeting. Are there any active agenda motions this evening?
Mayor, I move the council adopt an ordinance amending certain traffic control provisions as presented.
Second.
So you have all here and watching have witnessed and experienced this incredibly entertaining, super dry, robotic meeting process where we call on everybody. We've done that just to try and make sure that the record was clear and people all were afforded an opportunity to weigh in. As we move forward, I mean move forward through the COVID season, which is still with us. We're going to try and create a little bit more of a conversational environment. So to that end, discussion on the active agenda starts now. Is there anybody that wants to weigh in on this one? All right. That's a good answer. That was even more exciting. Mike, was there anything online?
No.
Thanks. Megan, please call the roll.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Earl?
Aye.
Commissioner Gray?
Aye.
Commissioner Calavini?
Aye.
Commissioner Sadowski-Fugit?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Mayor Burnett?
Aye. That motion passes unanimously. Is there a motion concerning the 2020 tax levy?
Well, here's your excitement, Mayor. Mayor, I make a motion to find and determine that the aggregate levy for the Village of Downers Grove, as defined in the Illinois Truth in Taxation Law, estimated to be necessary to be raised by taxation for 2020 upon the taxable property in Downers Grove is $26,074,836.30. This amount is based upon an estimated levy of $4,058,169 for corporate and police, $2,935,500 for fire, $4,011,185 for police pension, $4,785,434 for fire pension, $5,553,474 for library operating, $1,215,400 for capital projects, 2012 series debt service, $788,075 for refunding bonds, 2014 series debt service, $518,450 for refunding bonds, 2015 series debt service, $745,900 for refunding bonds, 2016 series debt service, $486,600 for stormwater bonds, 2019 series debt service, and $621,958.30 for refunding bonds 2020 series debt services. The estimated levy for Special Service Area Number 2, CBD Special Service Area, is $247,000, and the estimated levy for Special Service Area Number 6, Fairview Fire Protection District Special Service Area, is $107,691. The estimated levies is zero for the following special service areas: Area 4, Green Acres; Area 5, Atwood; Area 7, Dunham Subdivision; Area 8, Nelson Meadow Subdivision; Area 9, 35th and Saratoga Subdivision; and Area 10, Bridgepoint Downers Grove Subdivision. A public hearing will be held on these proposed levies on December 1st, 2020 at 7 p.m. in Village Council Chambers. I think we already did that. The adoption of the proposed levies will be held on December 8th, 2020 at 7 p.m. in the Village Council Chambers. Staff is also directed to prepare ordinances to abate certain 2020 tax levies.
Is Is there a second?
Second. Well done, Greg.
Thank you.
I think that's called drawing the short straw. Anyone have any comments or questions from the village council? Okay, I'll just remind everybody at home watching in particular that this is our 6th meeting where we've talked about our budget dating back to October 20th. It's a long process that doesn't really start on October 20th. It starts before that, even in our planning processes. But the first opportunity for folks to preview it was then, and looking forward to moving on. So, Mike, anything come in online?
No.
Megan, please call the roll.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Earl?
Aye.
Commissioner Gray?
Aye.
Commissioner Colavini?
Aye.
Commissioner Sadowski-Fugit?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Mayor Barnett?
Aye. That motion passes unanimously. Is there an ordinance adopting a 2021 budget?
Mayor, I move that the council adopt an ordinance adopting the fiscal year 2021 budget in lieu of passage of an appropriation ordinance as presented.
Second.
Any questions or comments from the council? Okay, anything online, Mike?
No.
Megan, please call the roll.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Earl?
Aye.
Commissioner Gray?
Aye.
Commissioner Colavini?
Aye.
Commissioner Sadowski-Fugit?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Mayor Barnett?
Aye, that too passes unanimously. Thank you, everybody, for all the hard work. Well done. Item 7 on our agenda tonight is the first reading portion of our meeting. This is the portion of the meeting where we are beginning discussion on some items, or in some cases continuing it, but we don't plan any actual action tonight on this list. So with that, I'll hand it over to Dave Field.
Thank you, Mayor. We have an abundance of agenda items on tonight's first reading. The good news is that items D through R were already presented and discussed twice tonight. They are related to the aggregate property tax levies. So we will not be presenting these in any further detail. When we get to them, if anybody has developed a question in the last couple minutes, we'll take them then. But items D through R have already been discussed many times, including twice tonight. That leaves us with just a handful of items. First three items have to do with adult use cannabis businesses. For more information on these items is our Community Development Director, Stan Popovich.
Thank you, Manager Fieldman. Good evening, Mayor and council members. As Manager Fieldman noted, I will be presenting the first three items on tonight's first reading here on the Village Council agenda. They're related to cannabis. The first item is the zoning ordinance text amendments. The second is the retailer's occupation tax. And the third is Chapter 8 revisions to the municipal code. Adult use and medical cannabis. Adult use has 6 business establishments. The first is a craft grower, then a cultivation center, dispensing organization, infuser, processing and transporting, and medical use cannabis has a cultivation center, dispensing organization. Currently in the village, medical cannabis uses are special uses in the M1 zoning districts, and they have specific separation distances for dispensary and cultivation center, as shown here on the screen. And there are no special parking requirements for medical use dispensaries. The proposed text amendments in the zoning ordinance tonight before you look to create cohesion between the adult use and medical use, so one set of regulations is not different than the other. So the proposal tonight is to allow adult use and medical use cannabis businesses in the M1 and M2 zoning district as special uses. These uses would be prohibited adjacent to residential zoning districts and require a 1,300-foot separation from daycare centers, schools, and public parks. An additional regulation would be a maximum of 3 dispensaries, any combination of an adult or a medical use dispensary, so a maximum of 3 dispensaries. And there are additional parking regulations as well. Shown here on the screen, for a dispensary, if there's a shared parking opportunity, so if this were to be located in a mall and an industrial building that has multiple tenants and a lot of parking available, this would be allowed at requirement would be 6 spaces per 1,000 square feet. If a dispensary was located in a standalone building that they were the principal and only tenant in the building, that would be 7.5 spaces per 1,000 square feet for parking. The cultivation, infuser, processing, and transporting uses are more industrial in nature, so we established a 1.17 spaces per 1,000 square feet because that's our standard industrial parking ratio. For a craft grower, because they're dispensary and sort of industrial with the cultivation, dispensary would be parked as per the above. So if they were in a shared space, they'd go 6 per 1,000, or if they were standalone, it'd be 7.5 per 1,000. And then they would have to park their industrial sort of uses within the craft grower at that 1.17 spaces. Additionally, what we found is that there's a really large influx of parking during initial opening. So we would require a parking plan to be submitted for the community development director to approve to ensure that during that opening stage that there's enough parking to potentially get a surge in parking, and so there's some sort of a parking plan provided to us. And that would be both for the dispensary and craft grower uses. If we look at the map here shown on the screen, we can see the potential locations in our 2 industrial parks, Ellsworth and Oak Grove Commons, and then there's 1 industrial M1 zoning classification on Ogden Avenue right there. The Plan Commission reviewed the proposed text amendments at their November 2nd meeting and found that the standards for a text amendment in section 12.020.f were met, and they recommended approval. With regard to the cannabis retailer's occupation tax, the village is proposing a 3% of gross receipts, and this would become effective on July 1st of 2021. With regard to Chapter 8 revisions, the last item would then remove the prohibition on adult use cannabis establishments that were previously established in Chapter 8, and then we were going to move the definitions from Chapter 8 into Chapter 28. If there are any questions that I can answer for you, I'd be happy to do that at this time, Mayor.
Thank you, Stan. Any questions or comments from the council?
Yes, Mayor, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Stan, I'm looking at all of the uses that are listed on here, and then I see that the adult use dispensing organizations need a special use permit, and we're limiting those to 3. Does that mean that the other uses do not need a permit? They only need a special use? I'm kind of confused on that.
So the way, this is Dave, Marge, thanks. The way the ordinance is currently drafted, all of these cannabis-based businesses, each and every one, would require a special use of their own. The limitation as written in this draft ordinance would apply only to adult use dispensing and medical cannabis dispensing. So a total of 3 of those. There is, right as of now, as drafted, no limitation on the number of special uses that could be granted for the other categories of adult cannabis businesses.
Thank you for the clarification.
So further clarifying that, likely, I'm going to call it retail, public retail interaction is really those dispensary businesses. The other are anticipated or would be expected to be sort of more non-public facing, if you will, right? In nature, distribution,
Yes.
infusing, transporting, things like that.
Yes, the infuser, the processing, the transporting, and cultivation would be more industrial in nature.
Could you comment on the craft growers, too?
The craft grower is a combination, so that could be more of a retail presence. That would be sort of a retail dispensing organization in the front, a dispensing, and then in the back is where they would cultivate their own cannabis. So that's sort of a combination of both industrial and retail.
Would they need a permit for the retail portion separately?
I believe
Would
we
it count
could.
as one of the 3, I guess is my question.
Yes.
Okay. Other questions, comments?
Yes, I have another question.
Go
Do
ahead.
we have any proposed regulations? I know that some of these growing and cultivating centers and possibly the infusing organizations do cause problems or have caused problems in the past with fumes and odors and other things being vented into the community. Do we have any regulations that we're proposing to go along with those?
Not specifically with this ordinance tonight. We do have other general, I would say, nuisance odors and noise allowances and requirements in the zoning ordinance that sometimes we are able to use as well.
And specifically, those are in the M districts as well, right? So-
Correct. There's the restrictions in the M1 because it would be anticipated that there would be industrial uses in there where we would have similar potential impacts to adjacent properties through noise or through processing with an odor coming out of a building potentially.
I just worry that that we might be causing a problem because if we don't institute some of those rules up front, that we might be chasing after them after the fact. And that's a whole harder situation to deal with when it's an after the fact, when they're already established and we're trying to regulate odors and stuff after the fact. So I do have a deep concern that maybe we should be doing something right up front to make sure that we don't step into a problem that we already know can exist unintentionally. Thank you.
Could you circulate those, kind of gather, just make it easy on us, gather the nuisance-related ordinances that we have existing for sound and odors and things and just circulate them around?
Yes, we'll circulate the performance requirements for those types that apply to all businesses in the M districts. We'll get those out.
Any other questions, comments from council?
This is Rich. I have a comment.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I intend to support this. As you know, I was the one who put the motion forward to send it to the Plan Commission. My concerns that I had before have been satisfied to my level of expectations related to small number of crimes against these facilities. Also, the other suburbs we looked at, the cost of regulating, monitoring, and enforcing has not been more than the revenue produced. In fact, the other communities that have had this experience have found they're able to cover that out of overhead. And finally, I believe this is becoming more Main Street. Glenelg approved it, and Arlington Heights had approved the trial. And in addition to the referendum that was passed in Naperville, 53-47 in DuPage County. So I would think the results would have been similar in Downers Grove. There were more people in favor of this than were opposed, but the other point I'd like to make is that there were people that were vehemently opposed to this, and perhaps even though it wasn't more than the proponents, it was still a sizable number. And I do believe that us putting them in the industrial zones only for the recreational shop is a compromise and somewhat out of sight, out of mind for teens that might pass by and want older siblings or cousins or friends to procure the product from them. So the revenue amounts, the tax revenue amounts are much larger than I originally expected, coming in some $500,000 per facility, and I think that is much needed for the village of Downers Grove. So I intend to vote in favor. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Rich. Anyone else with something, question or a comment? Mike, did anything come in online since we've been talking?
It did not, Mayor. No comments.
Okay, we'll continue on then.
Thanks, Mayor. We'll get the information that was requested tonight and circulate it to the council and be ready for a discussion on this next week. As I stated earlier, items D through R, which are the balance of the first reading agenda, have previously been discussed. So with that, that concludes our first reading tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. We just checked on public comments, so we'll come right back to you. Is there any manager's report tonight?
No additional managers report tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Item 10, attorney's report.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a rather lengthy report, my favorite meeting of the year. I
Thank
have
you,
18 items to present, and the one time a year I get to present my report as a visual. So on the screen are 18 items that will be presented, and all will appear on next week's active agenda. The first 3 items concern the adult use cannabis provisions that we just discussed, and the remaining deal with the tax levy. So that concludes my report, unless you'd like me to read them all. I can do that.
Just seems like you should have given Commissioner Jose the same opportunity. Thank you.
That is all. Thanks, Mayor.
Item 11 on our agenda tonight, mayor and council member reports. This is an opportunity for council members to tell us about other organizations or activities they're involved with, things that they think are important going on in our community. And we'll work back through our list as we were before. We'll start with Greg.
I have no report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Marge?
I also have no report, Mayor.
Kavanaugh?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to take a quick moment to celebrate our community. What we've seen over the last couple of weeks has been just fantastic as we've seen families adopt seniors. As a parent of a high school senior, I can just say that what's being done to really put a smile on these kids' faces during this time is much well received. And so I just want to thank all the families that are participating in the celebration of our high school seniors of both North and South. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Kavanaugh. Rich? Rich, you with us?
I'm sorry, it's on mute. No report, Mayor, but I will have a new business item.
Okay. Leslie?
Just please continue to stay safe, socially distance, and wear your mask. Numbers are rough everywhere, so let's try and be safe this holiday season. That's it. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Nicole?
Thank you, Mayor. Please continue to shop local. Downtown Downers Grove is doing candy cane cash rewards this holiday season. The program kicked off on November 27th. If you spend a total of $100 at a minimum of 3 different businesses between November 27th and December 31st, or until they hit a max of $10,000 worth of candy cane cash rewards distributed, you can submit your receipts either electronically at info@downtownbg.org or in person at the downtown Downers Grove office, 933A Curtis Street, during Monday through Thursday from 1 to 4 or Friday 1 to 6. And you can receive $10 in candy cane cash to use at all participating businesses through February 28th of 2021. All of these businesses are going to continue to need our help. Just to echo my fellow commissioners, please continue to stay safe. Please continue to think of other people. Please continue to look out for each other. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Nicole. It's down to me. I just wanted to take a minute this evening and offer our condolences to the family of Tony Harrington. Tony passed away last week at the age of 79. Tony was a writer by trade with a master's degree in creative nonfiction from the University of Nebraska, a number of published articles, and a self-published memoir. And our community was a beneficiary of her passion, too. Many of you know she worked for the village for over 30 years, preparing minutes of various village meetings. My memories of Tony always go back to 3 things. Seeing her at coffee with the council. I was there a lot. She was always smiling. Her regular reminders to me that I need to speak louder into the microphone. And she was right. And her constant positive encouragement, even when she was doing her best to straighten me out. She will be missed. Due to COVID concerns, her funeral mass held earlier today was reserved for immediate family. So on behalf of the village of Downers Grove and Tony's family here, we extend our sincere appreciation for the time we spent with Tony and our sincerest sympathies to the Harrington family. So with that, I believe item 12, Rich, you said you had a new business item.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Move that we direct staff to prepare an amendment to the map of the permitted food truck operating areas to include the area generally bounded by Rogers Street, Fairview Avenue, Prospect Avenue, and the railroad tracks.
Second?
Thanks, Rich. Dave, you want to clarify a little bit here?
Yes, thank you. As according to our new business policy, the motion that is now on the table for council consideration is not an actual vote on the merits of any amendment to a food truck ordinance, but would simply, if it's a majority of the council supports it, would start that process. If this motion is successful, in the next week or two, we'll put a first reading agenda item on with additional information to consider the merits of the actual concept. So this, really, the question is, should we talk about this? Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Dave. Just to further clarify for those watching at home, with 7 of us serving you on the village council, we could all have a dozen ideas on any given evening, and that would be nearly impossible to actually manage. So part of our new business process is to try and see if there is support from within the council to basically spend the staff time and resources necessary to develop something enough for consideration. So with that, any comments or questions from my colleagues?
Yes, Mayor.
Go ahead.
It's Rich. So the reason I'm putting this forward is to provide a level playing field for the 2 craft breweries in the village, Alter on the west side of town and Goldfinger on the east side of town. This would be a limited area, and we also do have regulations in place with minimum distance from other brick and mortar food establishments, so that would be baked into this, I'm sure. The other rationale here is to give patrons the opportunity to consume, which is very consistent with the key concept in our liquor regulations. Most people know that we do not have standalone bars, full-service bars in Downers Grove, and if there is a requirement that the restaurants have a pretty decent percentage of food being served. So that is in keeping with our longstanding policy in that regard. And then the final reason is I think we need to do whatever we can to support our local businesses. This would not preclude someone, for instance, who was a patron of Goldfinger not being able to bring other food in or having food delivered, but it would be a convenience for the patrons there so they could get food on site. And those end my comments there. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Any other comments or questions? None. Okay. Megan, please call the roll.
Commissioner Colavini?
Aye.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Gray?
Aye.
Commissioner Sadowski-Fugit?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Commissioner Earl?
Aye.
Mayor Burnett?
Aye. That motion passes unanimously. We'll look forward to some additional information.
We'll have it ready, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for the adjusted meeting style tonight. I hope it didn't come through poorly on the audio. And we'll continue to move forward and try and figure out how to do these meetings in the best way we can. So with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Mayor, I move to adjourn.
Second.
Megan, please call the roll.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Earl?
Aye.
Commissioner Gray?
Aye.
Commissioner Colavini?
Aye.
Commissioner Sadowski-Fugit?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Mayor Burnett?
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you and good night.